The Agweek Market Wrap is sponsored by Gateway Building Systems.
Welcome to the Agweek Market Wrap, brought to you by Gateway Building Systems. I'm Jamie Dickerman with the Red River Farm Network, and we're joined once again by Randy Martinson of Martinson Ag Risk Management. Randy, another in a string of just wild weeks in the market. We've seen we've seen crazy highs and crazy lows all in a week's time. It's been a month, but it's only been a week. It feels like sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. This week's been a long month, and we've kind of seen that kind of trading performance in the marketplace. Like you said, we've been all over the board. And, right now, as we're going into Friday's session, we're posting small losses in most of the markets, some small gains in some of the wheat contracts, as far as the grains are concerned. So we've kind of, like you've said, we've spun our wheels here this week, but we've had a lot of news that's come in to help give us some direction, or maybe the lack of news as everybody's looking for confirmation of what the trade deal with China says. And so far, we haven't been able to get much confirmation of it. And we're kind of seeing conflicting news or action from China towards the trade deal. And that also has a lot of people a little concerned about whether or not we are able to meet the requirements that have been put out by the administration.
Yeah, we got numbers saying that, there's going to be a certain amount of metric tons done by the end of the year. And then, we haven't heard anything from China on that regard, really. And then all of a sudden we found out that the tariffs weren't coming off 100% from China and things like that. So we got a lot, like you said, a lot of conflicting reports. And the one thing the market doesn't like is uncertainty, right?
No, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. And look at, the news that we've gotten from China so far is that, like you said, they've lifted the tariffs on, most of the products. They lifted it on wheat, and they bought some wheat. They lifted it on sorghum. They bought some sorghum. They left it in place on soybeans. So we still have a 13% tariff on soybeans. And that's going to keep some of the private people from coming in and buying soybeans from the US. They're going to have to go to Brazil because they're much cheaper. So that's one of the other things that they're looking at. So right now, only the government is buying beans from the U.S. because they can buy them tariff free. So right now, that's kind of the conundrum we're set with: is will China come in and take that extra 10% off? Will make us a little bit more, you know, more in line with where South America beans are priced.
Because they aren't buying Brazilian beans, and that's the other thing is they're still doing that. So that's also causing a little consternation.
Exactly. Rumors had it they came in about another 10 or 20 cargoes, 10 for December delivery, 10 for, February to July delivery. And now even today, now there was rumors of some about 10 cargoes of EU and Southeast Asia soybean purchases from the US switching over to South America destination because of the lower price. So there is some concern out there that our price is getting up a little bit too high for to be competitive with South America at this point. And then, so that's kind of causing some of the trouble. But the fact that China has come in and said they're going to buy 12 million metric ton is propping this market up here as we close out this week. But the trouble is they've got to start coming to town and buying some soon, or we're not going to get it shipped by that January deadline.
Yeah, the clock is ticking on that. We've seen, of course, the government shutdown still continuing, and they are supposed to vote on that today at some point. But there's not a lot of optimism anything's going to happen there. With that said, we don't have a lot of that information that we normally would get. A lot of the reports are coming, but we are supposed to be getting a report next week.
We are going to see the WASDE report, so we'll get some sort of a true up as far as the stocks are concerned for corn, wheat, and soybeans, which will help us. I mean, it'll give us a roadmap anyway, so we can kind of see where the demand has been at. I mean, everything is being recorded; they're just not being released. So then we'll get a little bit of an idea of just how strong or weak our export demand has been. We're going to also see some true up with because of the quarterly grain stocks report that came out in September. We'll get that put into this market as well. So we're going to see a lot of information that's going to give us at least start to show us the roadmap going forward. My concern is we're not going to see much trade change as far as yield is concerned because of the fact that we just don't have those infield surveys that took place because the harvest being almost wrapped up by the time they're getting out there to do this.
And of course, the other volatility in the market has been that cattle market. And we started seeing a lot of volatility. I mean, it's been there for a long time, but when the president talked about lowering the price of beef, that really made the market jumpy, and it's kind of remained jumpy ever since.
It has, and we've had a little bit of few other, comments coming about what's going to happen as far as the meat industry or the cattle industry in particular. And right now, the big debate is, the Argentina increase in imports was a little bit of a sting to the market, but it's a rounding error in the big picture. What's going to make more difference is what's going to happen with Brazil if once we get their trade deal kind of decided, how much will we bring in from them? The other part is, will we open the border to Mexico? And right now, the administration is saying, no, we're not going to open the border. We need to keep it closed. We need to get a handle of this new screwworm. But Trump is pushing to get that border open, and that would bring in a flood of cattle, which would cause this market to basically take care of one of the or one of the issues that's helped support it, and that is supply. The trouble with that is that we start bringing them in, we're likely going to get the new screwworm issue that come into the U.S. So right now, it's not a matter of anything that's happening on the fundamental side. It's the idea that the uncertainty, like you said, is just concern that something could change, and it's causing the funds to grab profits and get out of their positions.
Well, you look at some of the auction barns and what the prices are now, like in the past week here. You look at some of the sales, and big difference from what we were seeing.
Cash has taken a hit. There's no question about it. We're $30 to $50 lower than where we were here a month ago, a good month ago. So, I mean, you can tell that, prices have dropped, and what the side that hasn't seen a lot of drop is the grocery store yet, because it hasn't been able to move through to impact that market yet. So we're kind of hitting the wrong side of the industry right now as far as where the price is concerned.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about the tariffs, and that's the other thing that has been such a hot button issue for a long time, and the president wanted to use those tariffs, and now the Supreme Court is involved, and we're talking about the legality of even using them, and so that has the market a little uneasy too, because if all of a sudden the Supreme Court ruling comes out saying, hey, we can, you can't do this, what's going to happen? I mean, there's going to have to be a lot of money given back that's been made. A lot of these deals are going to have to be changed.
Well, that you're exactly right. I mean, what happens if if the Supreme Court comes in and rules them as being, improper to place on countries, we have to pay back a lot of the tariffs that we've collected. I think 60% or something in that area needs to be paid back, which, that's a big chunk of change the U.S. is going to have to come with to go back to these countries. The other part is that then leaves us, kind of takes away the stick side of things when you come to the trade deals that we've made. And do these trade deals then get ripped up and start all over again? So there's a lot of unanswered questions on the legality of what's going to happen with the Supreme Court decision.
Well, as we look ahead here, again, as you mentioned, we're looking towards next week here, and everybody's going to be looking for that WASD report coming out on the 14th.
That's going to be very important, and if we can get the trade deal signed with China and get a little bit more clarity on what the agreement calls for, that's certainly going to help. China coming in and buying, that's going to be something we're going to keep an eye on and look for. We're going to look to see if any shipments of grain, does go to China in the report on Monday. And then, yeah, Friday's report is going to be huge as far as the marketplace is concerned.
Well, we'll, of course, have a lot to talk about by then. So, Randy, always great having you on. Thank you for your time, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Randy Martinson, president of Martinson Ag Risk Management for markets and market analysis throughout the week. You can listen to your local Red River Farm Network radio station affiliate, or you can check out our website, rrfn.com. Agweek Market Wrap. It's brought to you by Gateway Building Systems.